How well do you know your grandparents? I mean, they were already pretty old by the time you came around. Maybe you've heard some stories, but that is what they want you to know. In Clean Getaway by Nick Stone, William, also known as Scoob, is about to learn a lot more about his grandma, or Gemma. Scoob's spring break was off to a bad start. The trip he'd planned with his dad was canceled and he is grounded due to an incident at school. Scoob's dad is really upset with him, and there was a lot of tension at home. So when his Gemma, one of his most favorite people in the world, pops over and asks if he is ready for an adventure, Scoob doesn't hesitate to say yes. Turns out Gemma sold her house and bought a Winnebago, her sweet new ride. Scoob leaves a note for his dad, purposefully leaves his phone behind so his dad can't get in touch with him, and they are off. First stop is Chia State Park, which has the highest point in Alabama, where Scoob finally gets to see what is in Gemma's treasure chest, a special box holding her most precious belongings. Amongst the items is the Traveler's Green Book, for vacation without aggravation. The Green Book is a travel guide published from 1936 through the mid-1960s that lists businesses such as hotels, gas stations, restaurants that will accommodate Black people as they travel throughout the United States and even internationally. See, the last time Gemma journeyed across the Deep South, she was with her husband, Scoob's G-Pop. While Gemma is white, G-Pop was black, and that made travel tricky and potentially dangerous for them in the 1960s. In some places, Black people were not allowed after dark, and many places had businesses that only served white people. The Green Book helped Black travelers stay safe as they journeyed. Scoob starts to wonder if maybe he shouldn't have left his phone behind. Gemma is ignoring calls from his dad. She sometimes calls Scoob by the wrong name. And why do the license plates on the RV keep changing? And then there is that strange trip to a jewelry store. Why is Scoob on this adventure with Gemma? And where will it end? Read Clean Getaway for a realistic fiction adventure that deals with family relationships and race relations that will give you lots to think about.
What a great story. Wouldn't it be exciting to live alongside of robots that looked and acted like humans? Oh, that's right, you haven't read the story yet. Let me start from the beginning. Cog is a boy who's 12, and he's 7 months old. Yes, that is crazy, but when you read the book, you'll know why. He was created by Gina, who is his guardian and also his teacher. And he also learns from the 1,749 books that he owns. His bedroom ceiling has glowing stars. His favorite biofuel is pizza. Now, Gina is teaching him lots of things. Like she told him once that good judgment comes from experience, but experience comes from bad judgment. What does that mean, you ask? It means you learn from your mistakes. So, Cog decides to make a big mistake so he will learn good judgment. But that choice is the start of something Cog doesn't understand and definitely doesn't like. He runs out into the road to save a dog, and he gets hit by a truck. So when he wakes up, he's not home, but he's not in a hospital either. He's in another bedroom with stars on the ceiling. But Gina's not there. Instead, he has a new guardian named Nathan. He does not like or trust Nathan, so he decides to run away. He's not alone, though. 4 others run away with him. Who is Cog running away from? What happens to Cog and his 4 friends on the way to wherever they are going? Why is Gina missing? And how does it all end? Read this seriously yet laugh out loud funny at times book Cog by Greg Van Eekhout.
I want to talk about a Nutmeg nominee that I really enjoyed, and that was The Remarkable Journey of Coyote Sunrise by Dan Gemeinhart. So this is a story about a girl named Coyote and her dad, Rodeo. And for the past 5 years, Coyote and her dad have been living on the road. They actually live in an old school bus that they renovated into their house, complete with a library, 2 bedrooms, a kitchen, anything you might need. So it's pretty awesome. So they go wherever they want, whatever their heart desires, they just pack up and go. But this journey didn't really start on the most positive note. It started because about 5 years ago, Coyote lost her mother and her 2 sisters in a car crash. And in order to escape these memories, Coyote and her father decided to start this road trip. But Coyote's come to really enjoy and love this life. She has a lot of freedom and adventure, and one of her current adventures might involve a little gray kitten that she's trying to sneak onto the bus, despite the fact that her dad said no pets. But she's pretty sure she's going to get away with it. In fact, she's already named the kitten Ivan, after her favorite book character from the one and only Ivan. Well, Coyote's having a great time on her adventures, but then one day, they get a call from her grandmother, and her grandmother's informing them that a park in Coyote's old hometown is about to be demolished. And this might not seem like the biggest of news, but this is a park where Coyote and her sisters and her mom had once buried a memory box. And this might be one of her last links to her mom and her sisters, so she needs to go back to this park, she needs to go back to Washington where they used to live, and retrieve this box. But her father has a list of oh no-nos, and his oh no-nos means he will not do it no matter what. And going back home is definitely one of those. So in order to retrieve this item, she's going to need to trick her dad into driving 3,600 miles all the way back to Washington. Can't you do it? Well, along the way, as you read the story, you're going to come across a bunch of different characters. One of them's going to be Lester, who's trying to reconnect with his lost love. And then there's Salvador and his mom, who are just trying to start over. And there's also Gladys, who definitely has a few secrets of her own. And while Coyote makes her journey across America, she's going to have to learn that sometimes going home is the hardest trip of all.
The next intermediate nutmeg I want to talk about is Emmy in the Key of Code by Aimee Lucido. So this story is about 12-year-old Emmy, and she is the only one in her family who can't make music to save herself. Which wouldn't be such a big deal if her mother wasn't a famous opera singer and her father a famous pianist. So music is a big part of her life. And now that her dad's job is moving the family from Wisconsin to California, she's starting to feel like even more of an outsider than ever before. At her new school, she struggles to hit it off with any of the other kids, and even feels invisible to some of her new teachers. That is until a randomly assigned elective places her in a computer science class. Miss Delaney is vibrant and full of passion for Java, a computer language she's going to teach Emmy and her classmates this semester. And then there's Abigail, who may have lied to her friends to sign up for this class instead of taking choir, because she has a secret love for computers and a dream of being a head of a Fortune 500 tech company by the time she's 25. In Miss Delaney's class, Emmy finally feels like she's found her groove with Java, and she can create something out of nothing. She loves the way coding makes her feel. But if she embraces her love of coding, does that mean she has to give up her hope of finding her place in the world of music? Well, this is a fantastic story about finding your own place and following your passions. This story is told in verse and it flows just like a song. And as Emmy learns to code Java, it becomes part of the language of the book. And as someone who's never used Java before, the coding terms were a bit confusing at first, but by the end of the story, they feel completely natural. This is a great read for anyone who's ever thought about stepping out of their comfort zone and embracing something new.
Harbor Me by Jacqueline Woodson. Imagine being at school and taken out of class, along with 5 other students, and placed alone in an art room. No adult supervision. You are told that you can talk about anything, and there's just one rule: treat each other with respect. As you can probably guess, this can get pretty awkward. But in Harbor Me by Jacqueline Woodson, the 6 students end up realizing they have been given a safe space to talk about what's really bothering them. And they need that because on the outside, it may seem like they're just students, but they are so much more than that. There's so much going on beneath their surface. Each student has a story to tell. There's Haley, who lost her mom in a car accident, and her dad is in prison. Haley's friend Holly is always getting in trouble. She has trouble censoring herself and is super fidgety. Esteban's father was deported, and he has no clue where he is. Amari hides behind his artwork, but has deep fears about racial profiling. Ashton is often bullied, and Tiago is trying to adjust to life in the U.S. after leaving Puerto Rico. When these 6 students are together, they can express the fears they hide from the rest of the world, and what started out as an awkward situation might now be one that gives them the courage they needed all along.
Jillian Perillo is a 12-year-old white girl who lives in Piedmont, California. She loves her family, peanut butter and jelly sandwiches, and she loves the books in the magically mysterious Vidalia trilogy. Jillian, Jilly for short, also loves logging into the Young Vidalians chat room, where she can connect with other fans of the Vidalia series. The Young Vidalians not only talk about the books, but they have become friends, so they talk about themselves and their personal lives. Soon, Jilly's mom will have a baby, and Jilly is so excited to have a new baby sister. But when her sister is born, something is wrong. There's a hearing test for newborn babies, and Jilly's sister doesn't pass the test. Her parents are so very worried. Will the baby need a cochlear implant? Should they use American Sign Language when they talk to their new baby girl? Jilly has her opinions about her sister's situation, but her parents are not always interested in what Jilly has to say. Luckily for Jilly, one of the kids in the Young Vidalians chat room is also deaf and proud of it. So Jilly has someone to talk to. Her black friend's name is Derek, and he goes by the chat room name of Profound in Oaktown. The situation with Jilly's sister is not the only thing going on in Jilly's life. Jilly's black aunt, Alicia, has been offended by some of the comments made at Thanksgiving dinner. Jilly comes to recognize some of the problems in her family and in the world. She turns to Aunt Alicia and Derek for help, but often asks questions in the wrong way or at the wrong time. This often offends Derek, and Jilly is afraid she is going to lose him as a friend. Will Jilly figure out how to support other people without making herself the center of the situation? Will Derek and Jilly remain friends? Will Aunt Alicia still be close with Jilly? Will Jilly's sister be okay? And will Jilly figure out what she doesn't know and how to go about getting the answers? Read this great book by Alex Gino. You don't know everything, Jilly P.
Planet Earth is Blue by Nicole Panteleakos. The year is 1986, and Nova is anxiously awaiting the launch of the Space Shuttle Challenger, which will have among its crew the first teacher in space, Krista McAuliffe. Nova and Bridget are crazy for astronomy. Their favorite musician is David Bowie, and Nova especially loves his song, Space Oddity. They have been in foster care since Nova was 5. Nova is with a new family, but Bridget is not with her. But Nova is sure that she will return in time for the space shuttle launch, just like she promised. Nova, who is 12 now, has been in many foster homes over the years. Nova is autistic. She has difficulty communicating with others and can be ultra sensitive to sounds, smells, and other sensory input. Nova's social worker often tells new families and schools that Nova can't read, won't speak, and that she is severely mentally retarded, a term that is no longer used today. Just because Nova does not verbalize her ideas does not mean that she does not have thoughts and knowledge to share with others. Bridget always understood this, and being without her is hard for Nova, but at least she still has her trusty NASA bear. The story of Nova's transition to the new foster family, the Wests, and her new middle school is told in chapters that alternate between narrative and Nova's letters to Bridget. Will Nova be able to navigate her new situation without Bridget's guidance? Will Bridget make it back to Nova in time for the Challenger launch? Will the West family be able to handle Nova's challenges, or will they be like all the other foster families? Nova's character will touch your heart. I know she did mine.
Sal and Gaby Break the Universe by Carlos Hernandez. This is a science fiction book, and it is part of the Rick Riordan Presents imprint. Those of you who are familiar with Rick Riordan, he wrote the Percy Jackson series, and he has been promoting other authors to write about their culture and their mythology, their folklore. This one's a little different because it is science fiction. The author is pulling from his own heritage of Cuban American culture in Miami. So this story is about Sal and Gaby in middle school. And Sal has the unique ability of being able to break through to parallel universes. And he can bring back things. Usually he brings back his mom, who died in his universe but is alive in others. Of course, this causes trouble. But more trouble ensues when he puts a dead chicken in the locker of a boy who's been bullying him, a chicken that he pulled from another universe. Gabi is a popular busybody and catches on to Sal's antics. She doesn't think there's anything strange about him being able to go into parallel universes. Another weird thing about Gabi is that she has several dads, including one as a robot. This is a fast-paced, humorous book. There is some Spanish in there, but it is translated, and there is a sequel available. So if you like this one, you'll enjoy the sequel as well. Sanity and Tallulah by Molly Brooks. Sanity and Tallulah are best friends, and they live aboard Space Station Wilnick. Tallulah's mother is the head of engineering. Sanity's father runs the space station. The girls hang out together and they create up their own adventures when they get bored. Sanity is working on a science project, and then she does some secret things that she's not supposed to do and winds up creating a 3-headed kitten. She names the kitten Princess Sparkle, Destroyer of Worlds. Trouble ensues when the kitten escapes and things start to break down on the space station. The girls must find Princess Sparkle, Destroyer of Worlds, before the damage to the space station becomes irreparable. Read this book to find out if the girls will succeed in their endeavor.
Wink by Rob Harrell. Wink tells the story of Ross, a middle school boy who is diagnosed with a rare form of eye cancer, one that attacks the gland that produces tears. Ross lost his mother to a different cancer, but as you can imagine, this is a very scary reality for him. He worries what will happen to his eyesight in the future, or worse. The author writes from experience as he was diagnosed with the same cancer as an adult. Ross has to deal with excessive eye goop, extra large protective hats, and more while trying to fit in at school. We experience everything with him, from the diagnosis to treatment to struggling as people, including his friends, start to treat him differently. Nothing is going quite like he expected. And it's not until Ross is introduced to a guitar and learns to play that life begins to feel more normal again. While the topic sounds serious, the book managed to have plenty of humor and also features Ross's personal comic, Bat Pig.